Hey, everybody, welcome to the TEConnect podcast. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Dean, you worked in the restaurant industry.
I
past,
did.
Right? You worked for a pizza restaurant.
I did
point,
for
right?
like 8 to 10 years. Long time.
Yeah.
I'm having flashbacks. What's up?
Was the back of the house pretty chaotic?
Oh, my Lord, yes.
Was it nutty back there?
Yes.
Did you have KDS back then? Was that a thing?
No, we did not
was it
have
all just
KDS.
paper and receipts?
It was paper. I mean, it was like, people taking phone in orders. So it's like on the, and then you stuff it on that aluminum rack.
Right.
Oh, nightmare. Because you'd have pizza stations, substations, spaghetti stations.
All over the place.
Now you got like 3 versions. Nightmare.
Well, obviously things
would have loved a KDS.
Things have improved since then,
Yes.
so I understand. And we're going to be talking about KDS today. We're going to talk about the benefits of KDS as a component for a big a full restaurant technology solution.
Mm-hmm.
We have Epson's Tessa Kohl joining us today to talk about this. They're going to get into stuff about basically the what's happening in the world of kitchens and restaurants and. Especially this little pandemic thing that popped up, kind of changed the game for restaurants and how they operate. Probably created even bigger needs for this kind of technology.
You mean technology is getting back a house now too?
Yeah.
Oh, hey,
as
all
it
right.
as it always should have.
Yes.
It's not just about the customers.
There it is. Yes.
We're going to talk about what all that means for the modern KDS. How does that differ from what kitchens obviously were using in your day, or even just a few years ago?
Yep.
And then how does it fit into the full solution? Like, what should you be doing when you're out there, talking to folks? Do you lead with the KDS? Is it an upfront part? Is
how
it
do we
something
sell
you get to
this
later?
thing?
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
So, and plus, obviously, if this is Epson being involved, they've got a KDS solution. They're going to tell us a little bit more about that too.
Okay, got it.
So all that plus our usual value to the VAR. What's TEConnecting with us? It's time to plug in and get connected.
Welcome to the TEConnect podcast. It's time to get connected.
All right, as I mentioned, our guest today is Tessa Kohl.
Yes.
Tessa is the product manager for DX Solutions at Epson. Tessa, thanks so much for joining us today. We appreciate having you on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, how'd you end up in Epson, and also the answer to the question, have you worked in a restaurant? Were you back at the house at any point?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here. First off, no, I haven't. But, definitely very familiar. But I have been lucky to avoid that chaos. I think it's a life. I don't know that I have the strength for it. I'm very in awe of the people that can handle that.
Yeah,
No doubt.
you're not missing anything. Believe me.
Yeah, I haven't been there either, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. All right, well, tell us a little about your role at Epson. What's your day-to-day like there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I manage software solutions at Epson. So I focus on some of our newest developments around specifically hospitality and labeling. And I've also been working in tech for a little over a decade now. So I've got a big background in automation and productivity, things like that.
Nice.
All right. Hey, good background. Good
Absolutely.
Stuff. Well, then let's talk about this, because like I mentioned up front, the the modern restaurant environment is chaotic as it is in back of the house, especially if you haven't worked in the back of a kitchen, or if you don't watch The Bear. Maybe that's
that is.
You want to talk about a stressful and chaotic kitchen?
Man.
That's one right there.
Yes, for sure.
You may not be quite aware.
Minus
of
the family dynamics. I mean,
may not be aware of how complex, how stressful, how chaotic and crazy things are behind the scenes there. So let's talk about what's been happening in the modern kitchen. Like I mentioned, COVID, I'm sure, changed things up a lot. Has made a difference in how things operate. Delivery is obviously a big part of what's happening in restaurants. So talk about what's happening at the back of the house in restaurants and hospitality now. What are they dealing with?
Right. So, I don't have to have firsthand experience to know that restaurant work is really, really hard. It always has been. That hasn't changed. I think more recently, folks have been dealing with, like the rest of us, rising costs, right? Continued demand for delivery. I think we've seen that has not and probably won't return to normal, or whatever we called normal sort of pre-pandemic. And of course, they're still trying to keep employees safe, right? That's important. I actually just got COVID a couple weeks ago. It's really rough. It's, crazy surge out there. So it's still very much here. So amidst all of that, it's really difficult right now.
For sure. I mean, when you think about it, some of the things that have changed, you already tapped into it a little bit with the delivery. I mean, you hear about how restaurants not only have to deal with theirs. I mean, let's just go into a couple use cases. Like if you have a kitchen and then you have a ghost kitchen that you're integrating as well, number one, or number two, the integration of now online delivery services. Now you have to take orders not just from people that are coming in your front door or interfacing with you online, but also through these delivery. You got DoorDashes coming in, you got Uber Eats coming in, and stuff like that. And so how do you manage this madness and bring some structure to that? You need a system. That's why systems like these, to me, are so critical in making sure that the heartbeat of a restaurant, which is the kitchen, is still interacting correctly, right? And making stuff happen and getting out there. Also, they're as competitive for labor as everybody else, right? And so if you are a chef or I was just a line chef for crying out loud, but still, you want to work at a place that has some modern amenities to it, right? You don't want to walk into this old disheveled, here's a little piece of paper and here's what I need you to make kind of thing.
Or just somebody screaming at you and telling you what to do.
I mean, you want to work at a place that's modern and that's got that kind of technology out there. So I think that's absolutely a part of the whole equation as well, right?
Yeah, I have to think that balancing act is just an absolute nightmare at this point. Yeah. I mean, I the few times when I don't go to restaurants as much as I used to, but the few times that I am in there, and I will pay attention to that. It's something I've become very aware of and watch and see what's happening and see what's going on in the kitchen back there. And it does feel like there's a tricky act happening where we're like, all right, we got these customers here, the restaurant we got to serve. And I'm sure for most restaurants, that's still the priority. But then they're also like, hey, we've got all these people ordering online. You're right. We got these third-party services showing up and picking up stuff and taking it. That needs to be accurate, too, because that could destroy a reputation if, a bad order goes out the door, just as bad as you're putting one on a table. So I have to imagine all that's pretty crazy and chaotic at this point.
And John, I'm absolutely the same as you. Every time I go to a restaurant, I'm like craning my neck to see. I'm really short, so I'm really craning my neck to see, okay, what are they using? What's going on back there? And I'll tell you, and I won't call them out by name because, I don't want to do that. But there's a boba, my favorite boba place near my house. I'm in Long Beach, and when I go there, I feel so bad for what they're dealing with because I look around the corner and I see they've got like usually no less than 5 separate tablets that they are dealing with, and they're all different services that they're having to figure out which order is on which tablet, and how do I mark this one as ready. And it's just I feel so bad for them having to deal with that sort of chaos, but I think that's what a lot of folks have found themselves dealing with right now.
Do you feel like you need to maybe leave behind an Epson flyer or something? Hey, give us a call. We can help you out here.
It has crossed my mind.
Yeah, definitely.
In all seriousness, go
ahead,
Tessa. On that front, I mean, so let's talk about integration. And I was reading a little bit about it, and I know you're going to tell us about some of the features and benefits of the system. But when you think about it, of the TrueOrder system, but when you think about it, integrating these types of other solutions is critical. And I was reading that yours is, kind of a browser-based solution. I hope I'm getting that correct. But coming from the software side, like you have, are you seeing that in the marketplace? Hey, we need to integrate these other systems. There's certain amount, even some automation is starting to hit the kitchens and stuff like that. Is kind of tying this all together? Because I imagine the KDS is kind of like a central system, right, for that back of house. And so now you got to tie in these other things. Are you seeing that in the marketplace?
Absolutely. It's a huge concern, right? If it doesn't integrate with what you have, it doesn't matter how good it is.
Oh, good point. Yeah.
So I think there's a few different pieces of this. So, one side is just to start with, you need to integrate with the point of sale system that you have. Enjoy my cat, by the way, who's not supposed to be on the table in the background, but he is there.
Awesome.
And he knows I can't stop him. So you've got your existing point of sale, right? You need to integrate with that, but you also know that things change really, really fast. So you know maybe you want to change your point of sale in the future, and you don't want to have to change your KDS. Maybe you are adding an additional delivery app, and you need to make sure that that works with your KDS, right? Maybe you're adding a new station. Maybe you're doing all sorts of different changes. You need something that's a little bit future-proof in a way, to the extent that you can. It's, future-proof is always a little bit impossible in the tech world, but you
for
do
sure
within reason. And so the way that the Epson solution is designed is essentially if your system can print to an Epson printer, then it can be compatible with our KDS. So we've actually integrated at the printer level. So you don't actually have to have a printer in the flow, but it just uses that same data that goes to the printer and interprets it. So by doing that, we're helping folks avoid the need to have that like software level integration and have actual like programming between the applications and worrying about those versions and things like that. By just integrating at the printer level, it makes it a lot more plug and play and gives you that future facing flexibility.
That's awesome. From a solutions integrator perspective, I mean, Epson is so dominant in the receipt in the print world. That's really comforting to hear that all you need to do is to be able to work with the system that outputs that. And we got a solution.
Right.
Here. You got a solution that can get up and running.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. Exactly. That's powerful, right?
Yeah, it is.
To be able to walk in and do that. That Epson flyer is not a bad idea. Hey, we can help you.
Exactly. So then let's talk about the modern KDS and what that looks like right now. How does it differ and changed from what kitchens have been using in the past? And maybe even, again, just a few years ago, pre-pandemic and before the rise of so much delivery options out there. What does it look like now to use a KDS in one of these environments?
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, we're definitely getting pretty far away from the time when you could, keep your life sane with just paper versions and having them on a wheel. Right. But I think even within KDS itself, we're seeing solutions that bring together everything from across different delivery apps. So there's a ton more value in that. So if you've got delivery apps, in some cases, those delivery apps are going to be just integrated with your point of sale.
Mm-hmm.
If they're integrated from your point of sale, then it doesn't make any sense to have something coming over here from, let's say, Uber Eats and having to integrate that with the KDS separately and then integrating with the point of sale, right? That's just a lot more mess than you need to deal with. If it's integrated with your point of sale, then you want a KDS that can pass that along and present one view of all the orders coming in, regardless of where they came from. So that's a big piece of this is, can I just see all the orders regardless of where they came from? But then at the same time, can I see them tagged as this is a to-go versus this is a, this is a on site, this is a delivery, those sorts of things. Obviously that makes a difference in how you sometimes even how you prepare the food in terms of, I'm going to put the sauce on the side,
right?
Because I know it's going to sit for 20 minutes, in somebody's car before it gets to the customer. So it can make a big difference in how you prepare and obviously how you package it and how it leaves the door. So having that streamlined funnel of all the orders coming in, but then also still having that information of where it came from, that's really critical. And I think the other piece that we're seeing is, as these already razor thin and a lot of times margins get a little bit more eaten up by some of these delivery apps, and there's a whole discussion to be had there. There's still pushback, and some of the apps are responding, but at the end of the day, restaurants are still fighting for the thin margin. And part of the ways that we've seen people doing that is really taking a close look at the analytics of, what's efficient that's happening in the kitchen and where can we eliminate waste to preserve some of that. So using a KDS is not just about reducing paper and things like that, but it also has to do with, can I, at the end of the day, look and see, hey, what is let's say I have got 3 locations. this one location has got, 5-minute shorter average bump times than this other location, there's something I need to look into here. Being able to have that data and pull that can be really critical for just unlocking efficiency benefits.
I'm so glad you went that direction. I mean, that it's brilliant, right? How does a modern kitchen operate? Well, part of that is through the data analytics that you can get from these types of systems, or specifically this type of a system. I mean, kitchens aren't immune to having data analytics, and so when you integrate a system like this, now you have the ability to drive into that. I mean, TrueOrder gives you those optics that, I mean, to your point, you now have the ability to say, well, you know what? This particular menu item is taking a long time to actually create.
Right.
And so maybe we should improve our efficiencies or improve the way in which we're prepping that. Or this store is not operating as well as other stores. And so maybe there's a training issue that we need to tackle.
An extra person over here.
Yeah. I mean, it's just without that analytics data, I mean, how would you even know? I mean, through hearsay or some other, I mean, no, it's a really powerful tool in that. I mean, to me, that's just like opening up a whole new optic for me. It's like, oh my gosh, yes. If I was a restaurant owner, it's like, I mean, this can give me some insight to making even more efficiencies, and maybe I don't have these things on the menu because it's affecting my overall quality or satisfaction of the customers, right? If they got to wait 15 minutes for this because it's a struggle to get it out, well, it looked like it was a good idea, but now it's not. You know, the data is showing me that it's not. So that's really, truly powerful, Tessa. And I guess that is a change, right? That's how a modern kitchen looks different than one just a few years ago that wasn't using that type of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I was really impressed with your comment about the different prep thing, because it's one of those things I just haven't really thought about before, but I very much notice when I'm ordering delivery and the restaurants that will, like, let's say you're getting a burger and a burger shows up, and some restaurants will put all the toppings in like a separate container, something separate. Some of them just glom it all on top, just like they would if they were delivering it right to the table.
Yep.
And there's a big difference because to your point, Tessa, if that's been sitting in a car for 15, 20 minutes or so on its way to you.
Got a soggy burger.
Exactly. It's a soggy bun. It's kind of a mess. It's just not
so
the same
fresh,
versus being able to pick it out and put it on myself. And that's the kind of stuff that has to be considered. And if you have a good system that's able to quickly let you know, like, hey, this is delivery, prep this a little bit differently, or this is in-house. These people have already been waiting an hour to get their seat, and now, we don't want them waiting another half an hour to get their food. Let's bump this one up a little bit. And to your point, I think that analytics and data piece can really help refine what's happening in a restaurant so that they can still accommodate all these things that everyone wants. They can do the in-house, they can do the pickup, the delivery, but manage it in a much more efficient way. And I think that's, I mean, that's, to me, that just like any other business, that's the goal, is efficiency and
it's a win-win.
Keeping your customers happy, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So, well, then let's talk about the KDS as part of the overall solution for restaurants, for kitchens. Epson, has always done a great job leading with printers. You just mentioned earlier, if you can connect to an Epson printer, guess what? Here's all the other stuff that we can do for you too, and we can tie this KDS into it. So where does that fit in now in these solutions? When, if you were a reseller walking into your local restaurant, they're looking to make some changes. Maybe they've added a ghost kitchen. Maybe they're just starting up. They're shifting operations in some way. And they're like, hey, we want to completely revamp and redo our point of sale, back of the house. We know we need a KDS. What do we do? How do you have that conversation? Is the KDS where you start? Do you start with the printer? I know it's something Epson's always keen on, is starting with the printer. Where does KDS fit into this storyline when you're walking into one of those customers?
Right. I mean, I think usually in these cases, the guiding principle is going to be, okay, what's the problem, right? The way that I've always approached things, and I think a lot of our team does, is we want to focus on what is the customer looking to get out of this, and if it has, if it means that they just want to buy a lot of printers and that's all they want to talk about, great, right? But it's worth digging into, okay, what are the pain points that they're actually having, and what are the pieces that can address that best? So in addition to okay, you've got your receipt printer, you've got a KDS solution, you've obviously got something that integrates well with the point of sale that you're using, or maybe even point of sales that you want to grow into. But there's also, the item labeling side of it too that we like to consider, because a lot of folks, if their concern, for example, their concern is order accuracy. So this is huge, especially with delivery. You mess up an item at the table, that's bad, but you mess up an item at and the customer doesn't realize until it gets to them, well, you've lost the money for that whole order, right? You can't just be like, oh, quick, let me get you, the different fries that you ordered, right? So the cost of that is bigger, and it's obviously, no matter what, a bad experience. So let's say you're trying to cut down on mistakes. You're having much higher rate of just like incorrect orders than you want. A lot of times that's not just going to be a KDS, problem, but that's also potentially a labeling and process problem as well. So, in a lot of cases, if you're looking to increase accuracy, you not just need to make sure you made the right thing, but you need to make sure it goes in the right place and it's clear who it's for. So sometimes the better way to do that is by adding a really robust labeling solution as well. So you have the KDS, and then you plug in a labeling printer for item. It could be a cup label, and being able to do things like have somebody's name on there, so that you can like you're used to at a coffee shop, being able to have that sort of across the whole quick service experience of, okay, I know this is my burger because it has my name on it, and also let's say I've ordered for 10 people, it's got a nice label that shows me, okay, this is the one that has no cheese, or this is the one that's vegan, and things like that. That can also eliminate those errors, because sometimes people might maybe they got the right order, but within the order itself, it wasn't labeled well enough. And so somebody of the group of 10 said, hey, I ordered mine no cheese, I didn't get it. And they didn't really talk to this guy over here who just didn't even notice that he got the no cheese one. Right. So those sorts of details of even something that seems simple, like, okay, we want to increase order accuracy, can involve all these moving parts. So we really try to look at the solution holistically and not just say, okay, all your problems are going to be solved by a printer, all your problems are going to be solved by KDS, or we really want to look at the whole experience.
I love having that kind of a conversation, right? I mean, we always advocate, go in, have the conversation, learn what the pain points are, and then you can uncover. But I like the angle that you're going there, Tessa, in the sense that, the KDS can be a part of the conversation as you're probing for efficiencies of back of house and trying to bring order to the chaos that may be back of house. Oh, by the way, by implementing this system, we could also, through labeling of identifying, of individual items, we can improve your customer satisfaction in the front of house as well, because it has, and just having that overall dialogue, as it relates to that's a brilliant move, and certainly one that we think resellers should probably be happening for sure.
Speaking of front of house, so another thing that we've seen along those lines is the way that wait times can they're not necessarily objective, right? I think we've seen this when many years ago at this point, but you remember when the Domino's Pizza Tracker came out?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was a moment where it really hit home, where 15 minutes is not 15 minutes. It can really depend on whether if you have no information about what's happening to your order, then it can really feel like a bad experience. But even waiting the same amount of time, but you feel like you're in the loop, you have the information you need as the customer receiving the food, like even if it takes the same amount of time to make, that perceived experience can be much different. And so one of the things that we've done with our solution is we also have a component of it where you can set up a customer facing display so that you can see automatically, like in real time, based on what's happening in the back of house, you can have a display up in front of house that says, okay, here's your order number, here's the status of it, and you can see not only do you have that sort of effect of perceived wait time being smaller, but you also your staff gets harass less for, hey, is my order ready? Hey, is that mine? Is that mine? Right? They can just sit back, relax a little, everybody's calmer, saves us staff time. Those sorts of perception things are really, I think, really interesting, and we're thinking about this like, okay, well, if I can't make this burger any faster, how can I make it feel better for the customer?
That's brilliant. No, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, because I've had those experiences where I go and you can see the visual cue and I see that I'm at the bottom of the list, and I'm not going to get upset when whoever, perception is
when you see there's 20 other people ahead of you.
Yeah,
like, all right,
and they're cutting in front of me and say, no, they're actually ahead of me in the line. And I mean, it can have a positive impact on the chaos that's in front of the house as well.
Now, it probably still doesn't stop that person that just wants to be a bully. And go
of course.
Some people are jerks.
Some people are jerks. That's right. That's not going to mitigate that.
Right.
For sure.
If you find a way to mitigate that, great. That'll be a nice add-on to the solution in the future there.
I'll work on the Epson de-jerkification project.
I like it. What else were you doing there?
Say, Tessa, from a reseller standpoint, and I mean, I'm assuming that you interface with resellers all the time. Is there a reluctancy on their side to, if they're not selling a KDS today, right? Like I'm talking a traditional value-added reseller that's out there and they're very comfortable with the point of sale, right? They're comfortable with your printers, they're comfortable with implementing a point of sale, but they really have never been asked, nor have they implemented a KDS. Is this a hard thing for them to get into? I mean, I know you guys have a support mechanism that you can get them up to speed, but is this a heavy lift or not really a heavy lift? And so resellers shouldn't worry about that being a barrier to start implementing these types of solutions. Just your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, if folks haven't worked with the POS side at all and they're purely selling printers, there's going to be a learning curve.
Right.
But most folks, they're selling point of sale and they're already working with, in a lot of cases, they're already working with a KDS, or at least they've seen interest in KDS because, some of these point of sale systems come with a KDS that's built in.
Okay.
Right. So maybe they're used to using that. Maybe they have customers that, in a lot of cases, they say, well, okay, I like my point of sale, but the KDS that they have isn't quite what I want. So can I explore that? Or maybe they're trying to change a point of sale that maybe doesn't have a KDS that comes included, or maybe it costs too much, right? There's a bunch of different variables here, and they just want that standalone KDS, but that gets the same amount of integration ease. So we haven't seen it be a big lift for folks. Even the more traditional resellers have really had a good experience with it. And like you alluded to, our team is super hands-on. So one of the cool things about our solution, I mentioned that, okay, we've got this system where if you can print to the Epson printer, it can work with our KDS. Well, not only do we have that sort of inherent compatibility, but we also have a team that actually can curate the process and curate the details of how that print data gets formatted out and interpreted. And that's actually all done like free of charge by our team. So we really give the white glove treatment to VARs who come to us and say, hey, I've got this point of sale system that I like selling, or even the point of sale companies themselves come to us and they say, hey, we don't want to build a KDS out of in-house because that's not our bread and butter. We want to focus on point of sale. We're going to focus on payments, but we want to be able to offer a KDS as part of our solution. Either of those scenarios, it works really well because they can just come to us and say, hey, we want to tweak the way this integration works, or we've tried it out and we want to do something a little bit different. And our team actually handles that for them.
Wow, I had no idea. That's awesome. Is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a true value
a good partner
add.
right there, yeah.
Oh, for sure. But that begs the question, and I'm wondering, because I just don't know, for my own edification, how long does a typical integration take? I mean, so if you had a reseller that reached out to you, hey, I got this customer and they want to integrate in a KDS, is that, and your team gets involved, is that a hours long project on average, or are we talking days? I just don't even know. I don't even know if it's a fair question, to be honest with you, but I'm just curious, Tessa, what that typically looks like.
Yeah, I mean, I'll caveat with this of there's always an it depends
Yes,
here.
of course, of course, of course. Yeah.
But that aside, I mean, typically we can turn these around completely start to finish in just a couple weeks. The
Wow.
process essentially looks like we have a list of, okay, these are the different variations of orders that we'd like you to send to the printer.
Mm.
We capture that data, and as long as it covers all the different varieties of maybe voided errors, voided items, and different modifiers and callouts and things like that, they print that different variety so we can see the full array of formats. Send that data to us, and then we create what we call a parser that basically does the job of taking that print data and interpreting it so that we're not just taking the print data that's output and just showing it on screen, but we can do more than that because we understand the context of the data. And so we can say, okay, we know this burger belongs at the grill station, and we know this is a drink that belongs to the drink station, and we do that interpretation. So aside from that, it's really all handled by us. So we send, it's just a couple weeks. We send back a file, and you're ready to go.
That is cool. Mm-hmm. And just to go a little bit further, because now I'm fascinated. Does the end user have some control over the UI? Like they can control the font size or,
branding maybe,
or information that's on there. I mean, do you go through a little bit of that process too, where there can be some customization of how it actually looks on the screen or how they're toggling through and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that we've seen with KDS and with working with customers on this is that it's not just a customer by customer basis or a company by company basis that they want to customize on. Sometimes it's location by location, it's station by station. Sometimes it's individual chefs, right?
I get it.
Say,
yes,
I want to see this in green. Or I want to see that, because you're doing something with that high volume and such a stressful environment. I get it.
Yeah.
Your brain for the last 5 years has trained to know green means something. You want it to be green.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things where we needed to make something that was not only customizable by color, font, layout, all that good stuff, which we can do, but we wanted to make it easy so that people could do their own thing and really feel comfortable and at home in the solution. So our configuration, it's all web-based, so you can just go with, you can just open up, a laptop. You're in the restaurant, you can open up any computer, go to this web-based configuration tool, and super easily you can just pick new colors, pick new layouts. You can even, in our solution, add your own logo, especially for those customer-facing display that shows the status that I mentioned earlier. But even for the back-of-house stuff, you can add your own logo. If you don't want to see the word Epson anywhere, you don't have to see the word Epson. It's about making it yours, right? Rather than it being ours or even being, let's say, corporate, right? Each individual location can really do their own thing with this and do it in a way that they don't have to be the expert. They don't have to call in IT to do it. They can, just move their preferences however they want.
That's awesome. Talk about future proofing.
No doubt.
Like when you have a chef, if you're the restaurant owner and, you got a chef and there's a falling out. Right. Oh, got to bring in the new chef. Right. Well, the new chef has, their
own expectations.
Oh, no problem. You want that in green? We got it. Yeah.
Well, and let's be honest, in the restaurant environment, these are folks that are very routine driven. They're very driven by, a specific set of parameters, whether it's, obviously fine dining can be its own thing, but like if you're talking QSR, especially like if it's someone that's part of any kind of a chain or does have any kind of corporate connection or whatever, there's always that like, hey, this is how everything's done. It's XYZ, it's this color, it's that color.
Yep.
It's this percentage, it's that amount, it's this gets labeled this gets labeled that. There's all that kind of expectations. And if your KDS is doing something completely different from that and can't be customized, like what's the point? There's
anything that we can do to reduce the cognitive load
There you
the
Yeah.
folks working there, I think is worth its weight in gold, and that's
Well
what we try to
said.
do.
The cognitive
Yeah.
load. I like
I
that.
like
That's
that.
That's a great term.
I'm going to borrow that. Yes. I need to lower my cognitive load.
Exactly.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
Hey, we're going on
Yes, we all
vacation
do.
next week, so
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
We all do.
we'll get rid of our cognitive loads for a while there.
That's good.
All right, so we'll wrap up here in a moment. Let Tessa tell us a little bit more about TrueOrder, anything we haven't covered already, and maybe how Epson can help you go out there and win some business. But hey, before we do that, as always, we got to thank our sponsors here on the
Yes.
show. And of course, this episode, a big thanks to Epson.
Yes.
We appreciate what they do for us. They're always a sponsor of the TEConnect podcast.
That's
They have
true.
a TEConnect program,
Yes.
which supports the podcast as well. So we very much appreciate that and lending Tessa to us to have this conversation today. But hey, if you like the show, you got to let us know.
That's right.
If you're on,
got a voice.
if you're on YouTube right now watching, you hit like, you leave a comment, you subscribe to our channel.
Smash the subscribe.
Smash
yes.
that subscribe button, share it with a friend. If you're listening on any podcast platform of your choice, if there's an opportunity to rate and review, please do that. Please share episodes there as well. And also maybe go up, if you're on Apple Podcasts or something, set that auto download.
Oh, yeah.
Just to make sure that every episode's getting down. It's okay if you don't listen to all of them. That's fine. It's no big deal.
Well,
I
you
get
don't
it.
want to miss out on great people like Tessa.
But you don't want to miss out.
Telling us about-
right.
yeah,
So,
right.
put that little auto download on. Check. You got to check that from time to time too, because
true.
if you don't watch or listen to enough episodes, sometimes it resets it and takes the auto download
I
off.
didn't know that. Okay.
So you gotta go back and do that from time to time. Just take a moment, check it just for us, throw us a bone here.
There you go.
And hey, if you have ideas for the show,
Yes.
something you want to hear about.
Yes.
Well, I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm wearing the new and improved TEConnect podcast t-shirt.
Excellent.
Just released, just out
Yes.
in the market.
Yes.
I'm excited to start sending some of these out to some folks.
Yes.
If you have
You
some
owe some
ideas
people,
for
by the
show.
way.
I owe some
You do.
people.
Yeah.
Marco apparently is one of them. He's upset that he didn't know about it. He designed the damn thing, and yet he doesn't have one somehow. So if you want to get one of these shirts, or if you just want to tell us what you'd like to hear about the show, even if you don't care about the shirt, but we'll send you one if you send your idea into us. All you got to do, there's always a link in the show notes. Just send us your ideas for the show. What do you want to hear about? Who do you want to hear from? What topics should we be going after? Do you have specific guests or some of our vendors or partners that you want to hear from? Let us know that, and we'll be happy to help accommodate you, see what we can do about getting that onto the show. And again, you get a cool t-shirt. It's a nice soft one.
Yes, I know.
It feels very comfortable. I
Yes.
like it. So
yes.
we're happy to get some of these out to you. We got a whole box of them. We need to move out the door. As always, too, you can find stuff about the podcast on BlueStar's Facebook page, on our LinkedIn page, or you can email us directly, TEConnect@BlueStarInc.com. All right, let's wrap things up here.
Yes.
Tessa, you've told us quite a bit, obviously, already about TrueOrder. But is there anything that we've missed? Anything that you feel like VARs really need to know as a simple takeaway of how they can go out and deploy this new KDS software, how they can win business with it, and maybe even how they can start some conversations with their restaurant customers to lead them down the path of maybe this being the solution for them?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So I'll give you two. I'll give you two things to remember. I think if folks take nothing else away from this, one is compatibility, right? Because we've taken this printer data based approach, you will be really hard pressed to find a point of sale that we cannot integrate with and do it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a huge one. I want people to keep that one in mind. Even if the point of sale system has its own KDS, they're changing them all the time, right? And it's not always a one-size-fits-all solution, right? The other thing I want to say that I haven't talked about yet that I think makes this solution really, really unique is it's not a subscription, which some people might tell us we're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So be it. But we know that folks are getting a little bit bogged down by these subscriptions, and we really wanted to make it easy for folks. So we've made the TrueOrder KDS solution available just as a flat one-time fee.
Nice.
And it comes with hardware that's actually built to manage KDS, so robust, kitchen-worthy hardware. Less fiddling with the example I talked about earlier, where they've got like these poor boba shop employees have got like 5 little tiny tablets that they're dealing with. It comes on, real restaurant quality hardware, and you just pay once and you use it forever. So that's
awesome.
Huge. I think that's really huge.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff.
Yeah, no doubt. Do you have anything else to add there?
No, I don't. No, I mean,
we know Epson's great at this kind of
Yes,
stuff. They have the ecosystem built around this stuff, and the partnership aspect. I think is we're always excited to talk about Epson stuff because you guys do a great job with like you said, with being compatible, with being willing to work with partners, being willing to figure out like, hey, how can we connect our products to your products? I always been impressed by the idea of those printers being like a nice central hub for everything.
Yep.
And this sounds like just one more natural extension of your product line to go out there and win some
and they
business.
help. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
They're not going to just give this to you and be like, all right, here you go.
good luck.
Go sell it. Good luck. See you guys later. No, they're gonna do the background work.
That's
there.
awesome.
They're gonna help
That's
you out.
awesome for sure.
All right, good stuff. Well, hey, I will drop a link in the show notes, obviously, to TrueOrder so you can learn more about it. And don't hesitate to reach out to us, your BlueStar account manager, if you want to learn more about this product too. All right, let's wrap up as always with What's Tech Connecting with You. It's our favorite segment each week where we get to just ramble about something in the world of tech, science, innovation, business, discoveries.
Right.
Sometimes I give our streaming TV show recommendation for that
Yes,
moment.
yes.
Whatever we feel like talking about. So, Tessa, we'll let you kick it off. What's Tech Connecting with You this week?
All right. Well, I think what's really been taking my attention this week is just the evolution of this generative AI stuff, and particularly seeing, I think we're starting to see the reality kick in a little bit more. So, I've worked in AI and automation space for a while, and so the last few years have been really interesting with the whole, ChatGPT and generative AI craze, and it's been, in some cases, very, I'll just emphasize interesting to see the direction that some folks take it, or maybe the predictions. You've seen all sorts of crazy predictions, and I think what I've seen in the last few months is just a little bit of a turn back toward reality okay, this is cool, but maybe it's not, this magical
it's not changing the world just yet,
that everyone thinks it is. Nor is it Terminator, right?
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yeah.
And so I think that's been really interesting. And we've seen, so like the example that I think about a lot that I've been paying attention to is Amazon's Just Walk Out technology.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys heard about
Oh
this.
yeah. We talked
a lot already.
Yeah.
Finding out that that's at least a large part is, workers in India watching it manually.
Exactly. Yes.
That is not to say that all this stuff is bunk and we should all ignore it, right? It's interesting stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the thing that I've been looking at recently is, okay, how are we going to sort of recalibrate, come back toward reality? Where are we going to see people saying, okay, maybe I got a little overexcited. What's really important?
Right. It's funny. I did come across an article recently that kind of mentioned the whole, Gen AI, and like, we've spent enough time with it at this point and seen enough of what it can and can't do.
Right.
And basically their conclusion was, I don't think we have to worry about Skynet anytime soon.
I know. Yeah, I think we can back off that cliff a little bit.
We're probably more okay than we think. It's not as wicked smart and going to destroy the world as we might have previously predicted.
Oh man, that's a good one.
Yeah.
We're all watching Gen AI. I think
exactly.
to a certain degree. Yep.
All right, Dean, what's Tech Connecting with you?
Well, do you take multivitamins?
I do, and I keep hearing they're
Tessa,
useless, but I still do.
Well, that's what I
don't, and I feel like I probably should.
No, I don't.
Okay, good,
I'm not so sure.
Tell me I've been right all along.
Yeah, I don't think it can hurt you.
Here's the headline: Daily multivitamin use shows no association with lower risk of death, including cancer or heart disease. New study finds.
Right, I just read this myself.
Oh, did you? Okay,
Yep.
This study tracked 400,000 participants. So this is legit, right?
Yeah, they put the work in.
400,000 participants over 20 years, and it shows actually there is if your goal was to mitigate heart disease, let's say, by taking a multivitamin, it ain't helping. In fact, unfortunately, it could have a in the negative. On the contrary, it says mortality risk was 4% higher among multivitamin users compared to non-users.
Do you think there's a correlation where people take multivitamins and just think that they're more invincible for some reason, so they get more reckless?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to eat twice as many burgers.
Eat the same thing. Yeah, I'm going to eat the same fried food every single day, but I'm taking a multivitamin.
Exactly.
So,
I almost wonder if that's it, but
I don't, and it goes on. Obviously, this is one of these, journal. I think it was in the Journal of something or other. So I'm not doing any justice to the 50-page, article that it was, and it goes into other stuff like, it didn't capture mortality data as it relates to, the specific benefits like vitamin C, just specifically that in your immune health and stuff like that. But in general, the big takeaway was if you were taking a multivitamin to mitigate cancer, no.
I bet stop taking pissed at this one.
Oh yeah, I think they are.
One a day and all that.
Yeah, big pharma from that perspective, not such a good report for them.
No.
Quit taking your multivitamin.
The thing is, this is not a new idea. I mean, this is probably the most thorough study that's ever been done on it.
Yeah.
But I even once upon a time asked my doctor, like, "Hey, I'm taking a multivitamin. Does it really matter?" And he was kind of like, I mean, it doesn't hurt anything, but it's probably not going to give you any like massive benefits.
Well, I think that's what the study proves. Yeah, it doesn't. It's not. it's negligible, right?
And I would hope no one's taking them with the assumption that I'm invincible. I took
Superman.
I took my one a day. I chewed a couple gummies today.
So what's TEConnecting with you now that we're no longer taking multivitamins? Go ahead. Yes,
did you know that we just recently wrapped up the first Mars mission?
Oh, wait.
If by wrapping up the Mars mission, we mean a 12-month simulated Mars environment at the Johnson Space Center in Houston.
I did see that.
So recently, 4 astronauts who were the volunteer crew members for what was called, the Chipia or something
like that. Yeah,
Chipia or whatever. I don't know how they.
Where were they? They were in
it.
like Arizona or something. Anyway,
it was Houston. It was the Houston area.
Okay,
it's called. That's abbreviation for Crew Health Performance Exploration Analog.
Wow. Okay.
Basically testing out like, hey, what can we survive on what is supposed to be a simulated Mars environment? It was a 3D printed habitat that they were using. They went out on simulated Mars walks.
Oh,
they grew and harvested veggies.
Okay.
They even tested out with communication delays. So like if they were communicating, they had the intentional 20-minute delay that we would actually have from Mars.
Okay.
Apparently there's still plans to do 2 more of these as we ramp ourselves up slowly towards heading out to Mars at some point in the future. But these crew members, basically, they came out and they said, what
did we learn?
Well, they basically, there's not much that I've heard from them, but they basically said they were excited to see everybody again. And they said the 300 plus days that they were in there, went by in a breeze.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That they felt like it was, it was fairly easy going. They had the resources they needed. And
I'll be darned.
Like, granted, I'm sure it's a whole big difference.
They didn't get after each other. They didn't drive each other crazy.
That part we don't know yet.
Or,
I'm sure there's someone's right now has just signed a deal for a memour about how they
for sure.
tried to kill one of their coworkers.
This is the real backstory of what happened.
But so far, I guess nothing. I don't know if they were growing potatoes like Matt Damon in The Martian or anything like that. But
But did they take any multivitamins?
There you go, Tessa.
Point.
That's right. There it is.
And how does a multivitamin act when it's in space? Do you gain invincibility? Yeah.
All right. Start that 20-year longitudinal study right now. We'll know in 20 years.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I'm sure that's worth a few $1 million to run down that rabbit hole.
Oh man.
So yeah. So hey, with first simulation down, let's do some more. And I hopefully in my lifetime that they actually get out there. I'd love to. Yeah.
Well, it seems doable, right?
Like it's
doable. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Not to mention, I think it's going to take you 6 months to get there.
Well, yeah,
but you can live there
yes.
for a year and then 6 months back. Got it.
Yeah,
okay, we're good. We're good. Yeah.
Hopefully, you didn't have anything planned in the next couple of years.
Right.
Oh no! I forgot I had a doctor's appointment.
Left your oven on.
Left the oven on. Yeah, that ship sailed. We're good. I think so. Yeah. All right. Hey, that's what does it for today. That's what's TEConnecting with us. It is time for us to unplug. Tessa Kohl, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate having you on the show. And hey, until next time, we do have to unplug, but go out and take a peek into your local kitchens.
Yes.
Slip them one of those Epson TrueOrder
Absolutely.
flyers.
Get some sales.
Reduce their cognitive loads.
I love it.
And as always, folks, please stay connected. TEConnect Podcast is also brought to you by ELO. Elevate your customers' applications with ELO's 04 and 54 series interactive touchscreen displays with support for up to 40 simultaneous touches. What? I mean, is this like somebody
40?
with like squid hands or
Right?
something?
What is going on
Or
here?
like just a whole classroom of kids just running up and just jamming their fingers all over
Well,
something?
you've been in that situation. Like you're trying to order, the kid
that's
comes up
true.
with their snotty little hands, and we're accommodating.
That's a good
that.
point.
There
All
it
right,
is.
so that's good. Lots of touches. Lightning fast responsiveness, anti-friction glass. The 04 series prioritizes the user experience. By combining the touch display with the ELO backpack or a bright sign player, you can effortlessly convert these displays into versatile life-size 32, 43, 50, or 55-inch tablets. It's a pretty big tablet.
Yes.
The back of the display has never looked so clean. There's VISA for PC mounting, a power brick and power cable mounting, external PC power pass-through, and contained cable routing eliminates a mess of cords and bulky attachments. And this is legit. When I was looking up the info about this and checking out some of the pictures, like it is one of the cleanest backs of a display that I've ever seen. Like,
And they've thought of everything.
They really
I mean,
have.
at this point, yes.
Speaking of which,
Oh.
ELO View remote management.
Ooh,
We know
yeah.
that's always a big part.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
ELO.
yeah.
Up to 4 Edge Connect peripherals. We love those.
We
peripherals.
love
Those are
that.
cool.
Yep.
Touch-through PCAP glass, landscape portrait or tabletop orientations, and durable long-term performance built for 24/7 high-traffic environments. The 04 and 54 series displays are perfect for retail, wayfinding, healthcare, hospitality, and more. Check out the link in the show notes and contact the BlueStar ELO team to learn more. This episode of the TEConnect podcast was brought to you by Epson. Hey, as you heard today, the KDS can be a pretty vital component of a restaurant operation.
Yes.
Now you can digitize and optimize your customers' kitchen workflow with Epson's easy-to-use TrueOrder KDS. Designed to meet the demands of restaurant environments, TrueOrder features customizable views and supports touch control. It offers flexible configurability. It's POS agnostic, which I think that's amazing.
Love that
is
part.
fantastic.
Love that part.
Supports up to 9 stations and is compatible with multiple devices. TrueOrder offers landscape or portrait viewing, a flex grid layout, and the ability to add the restaurant logo. A customer-facing display lets guests see order status in real time. It works on the local network and is easily set up with a browser-based configuration utility. Of course, you can improve kitchen communications by adding Epson receipt or label printer as well.
Of course.
And they're obviously very good at that
Oh,
part of
yeah.
things too.
Oh, yeah.
So to learn more about the TrueOrder KDS, if you haven't heard enough in this episode, check out the link in the show notes or contact your BlueStar Epson representative.